As you can see, Terraria has a lot of boss fights, and some of them are good and some of them are, well, not very good. So today we're going to be talking about just that. Which are the most fun boss fights in Terraria and which ones are the least fun. And this is not going to be based on the drop loot or the music or any other factor, just straight up gameplay, how fun is each boss in Terraria. Let's talk about it. First boss to rank is King Slime. Not much to say about this boss, and that's kind of the problem. Obviously he's the first boss in the game, so you can't expect him to be crazy or anything, but he is so simple. He jumps, he teleports, and he summons slimes. That's it. D tier. The Eye of Cthulhu, on the other hand, is also very simple, but I think he has a lot more to him. Yeah, he only has a few attacks, he just dashes at you, goes up and down a little bit, but he's a lot more challenging and a lot more interesting than King Slime. He's also very iconic, so you gotta give that to him. I think you gotta put him in the A tier, just a perfect all-around boss fight for the early game. And then you got the Eater of Worlds. This one is not very good. I know the Eater of Worlds is great to a lot of people, specifically OGs who only play the Corruption, but it's not 2014 anymore, it's 2025. Okay, we gotta put our bias to the side. Eater of Worlds is a pretty boring boss fight. You get a piercing weapon and then you immediately kill the boss, or you don't get a piercing weapon and it's not fun because it splits off into a million pieces. Either way, not that impressive. C tier. Reign of Cthulhu, on the other hand, is also not the best boss in the game, but I would say he's pretty good. He doesn't have a lot of notable attacks except in expert and master mode, where at the end he turns into a bunch of different versions of himself or illusions. Now this stage of the fight is really cool and I was really impressed by it, especially on my first few playthroughs of this game, so I gotta say Reign of Cthulhu is nothing crazy, but he is pretty cool for an early game boss fight. So he's going in the A tier. Queen Bee is also a pretty good boss fight, although I will say Queen Bee has never really felt that special. She dashes, she goes up, she shoots her little stingers, she dashes again, repeat. And because of that, you gotta put her in the B tier. Not bad, but not great either. Dear Clops. Oh boy, Dear Clops. Dear Clops is an F tier boss fight. Probably the worst one in the entire game. Skeletron, on the other hand, I would say is actually a pretty good boss fight, or maybe one of the best. Skeletron is an OG, and you gotta give him that, and when it comes to gameplay, I would say that he's actually really good. The first stage of this boss fight, forcing you to focus on two different hands at once before going for the head, is really cool, and let's be honest, you're not gonna be able to kill him without breaking the hands unless you're in classic mode. I also really enjoy the skulls he sends out during his second phase. They're easy to avoid once you know what you're doing, but they're also very punishing, so if you do get hit by a few of them, it's not like you can just get away with it. And that is peak boss design right there. Attacks that are easy to dodge and have very cool set patterns, but are also extremely punishing if you get hit by them. Skeletron is a fantastic boss fight and one of the most iconic in the game. And because of that, he's going to be our first S tier. The Wall of Flesh is another boss fight in Terraria which I think is simply fantastic. This boss fight is completely unique and feels like no other boss fight in Terraria. It's truly something special and it's amazing. The idea of you going from the left to the right, or I guess the right to the left, constantly as the boss chases you and you can't avoid it is really cool, and I thought that Terraria actually executed it very well. This is one of the few boss fights in Terraria that truly feels more intense the more you go through it. Obviously there are a lot of boss fights with second stages, but a lot of them don't actually feel like they get that much harder the more you do it. And the Wall of Flesh is not like that at all. It truly is a fantastically designed boss fight. He is also going in the S tier. Now we're going to be moving on to the hard mode boss fights, and there are a lot of good ones here, but we're going to be starting off with a bad one, Queen Slime. It's just a bad boss fight. It is a very, very poorly designed boss, and it's very disappointing. There are so many projectiles on screen, and when you're on a higher difficulty, it's just a gamble at that point. Am I gonna get hit? Am I not gonna get hit? It's not my fault either way. Let's just hope I don't die. That kind of gameplay in any boss fight, but especially a game like Terraria, is pure garbage. Apparently Queen Slime also has a pretty bad hitbox that can just teleport into the player to kill them, although I haven't experienced that. That's just what a lot of people say. I don't really need that to say it's a bad boss fight though, because either way, it's going in the F tier. Moving on to the mechanical bosses, we're going to start off with the Destroyer. You do really have to prepare for the Destroyer and get a good piercing weapon, otherwise you're going to get, well, destroyed. I also think it's really interesting how the boss does so much damage and you're kind of forced to attack the probes to get the hearts from them, otherwise you're just going to die to the boss. boss. I'm gonna put him in the C tier because there's really not a lot to say about him. He's kind of exactly like the Eater of Worlds, a little bit different, but very simple. Next mechanical boss is the Twins, and there's not a lot to say here. Well, there kind of is, but the Twins is an amazing boss fight. They did a fantastic job making each twin feel unique. Retinazer is very long range, constantly shooting missiles at you or projectiles, which do a lot of damage, and Spasmatism is much more short range focused, dealing insane damage at a very close range, especially in his second phase, but not really doing much otherwise. Personally, my favorite boss fight in the game, it's going in the S tier. And then final mechanical boss we have to rank is Skeletron Prime. This boss fight certainly isn't bad, it's just really not that good either. My big problem with Skeletron Prime is that for the most part he feels like a tanky boss fight who doesn't actually provide a big challenge. This boss fight has a bunch of health, he's constantly flying around so you can't get a good reach on him, but he's not that challenging at all. With that being said, I still think he has a somewhat cool attack pattern, and he is a little bit challenging when you first discover him, and because of that, I'll put him in the B tier. If we're being generous, he's a B tier. Oh boy, now it's time to talk about the fan favorite, Plantera. I'm gonna be real, I don't really get all the hype for Plantera. The thing with this boss fight is I've always found the first stage to actually be a lot harder than the second stage. During Plantera's second stage, you can sort of just run around the boss in circles over and over again, very similar to most boss fights in Terraria, and it provides no unique challenge. The first stage of Plantera is a lot more troublesome because she has these little spike balls at the bottom of the floor, which can really punish you for not paying attention. I genuinely do think it's a big problem that the second phase of this boss is so easy. I know people are going to bring up the music or how cool the boss looks and all of that, but like I was saying earlier, that's not going to be the biggest part of this ranking. I'm going to put it in the A tier. It's still a great boss fight, but it is not even close to the S tier. Next up, we've got Golem, and I'm going to be honest, I think I've been a little bit too harsh on this guy in the past. The more I play Terraria, the more I realize that Golem is not nearly as bad as Deerclops or Queen Slime. It's definitely not a great boss fight, but I would say it's nowhere near the worst. His attacks are pretty predictable, they're pretty easy to dodge, and this boss fight is probably the easiest boss fight in the entire game for when you reach him, but aside from being easy and a little bit spammy, Golem isn't really guilty of anything. He's still going in the D tier, but I'm gonna say he's not that bad. Alright everybody, now we're gonna get to the two craziest boss fights in the entire game, Duke Fishron and Empress Elite. S tier. Come on now, are we really going to put them anywhere else? The Lunatic Cultist is a little bit of a weird case. On one hand, his gameplay itself is not horrible, but on the other hand, I don't really feel like I'm fighting a boss every time I fight him. He's way too underwhelming and simple for when you reach him in the game, especially compared to Moonlord or even the Celestial Pillars. I still don't like his little clone attack where if you hit the wrong thing, he summons like a little arch-wyvern or whatever, because that's very frustrating in multiplayer, but in a good single-player playthrough, the Lunatic Cultist definitely isn't a bad boss fight, it's just a little bit underwhelming, and because of that I will put him in the D tier. For some reason this tier list has all of the pillars over here, and I don't know why these count as bosses, but if they all do, I guess they're all going to go in their respective areas. Solar Pillar goes in the F tier, Nebula Pillar goes in the F tier, Vortex Pillar goes in the F tier, and Stardust Pillar goes in the D tier. Honestly, it's not as bad as the others. Last but not least, it's time to rank Moonlord. Some people love this boss fight, some people hate it, and I'm kind of in between. I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I think it's a really cool finale to the game, a great spectacle with a really interesting attack pattern, and other times I am just so disappointed by it. Ultimately, I don't think I would call Moonlord a good boss fight. His entire gameplay loop for the most part is that you're just gonna run in one direction back and forth constantly, trying to dodge projectiles that you can't always predict. And if you can avoid his laser attack, it's gonna be pretty easy to kill him, even on higher difficulties. It's a really cool surprise when you see that impending doom is approaching and then this guy shows up. I mean, he looks great, but when it comes to actual gameplay, I don't know, man. I don't think it's that good. Moonlord can go in the C tier. He's not bad. I just don't really feel like he's that good. And there you have it. This is the tier list of every single boss fight in Terraria, at least the ones that I would consider real boss fights. But make sure to leave what you think about these bosses in the comments section, because I would love to see what you think. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because we are on our way to 10K. Alright, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.